do people in Canada have cable? Like other people?
We keep this up in the playoffs. I don't care.
And at Chili's. Is it a Chili's? At Kyle's?
Achilles.
Finally.
You don't know that?
Fuck you! Get this guy the fuck out of here!
Alright, well, coming in at number 5, I got Anthony Stolars.
Now! Jets are winning the cup!
Thank you for watching and listening. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the NordCast. It is Friday, August 15th, 2025. I am your host here, Nordic97, joined with Kata and Just Carter here today. It's a special episode, but Carter, how we doing?
I think I'm doing all right. It's been a
just all right.
Week.
All right.
It's been a weird week. I don't want to.
I just want to get. It has been a little bit of a strange week, so I'll get behind that. Well, This is a actually very special episode because this is our 3-year anniversary of the podcast. 3 years ago today, when we're recording this episode, 3 years ago, yesterday for you guys, we recorded the first episode of the podcast and released it out to the public. It's kind of wild that it's been 3 years. It feels like 2022 was just yesterday, so it does feel a little bit strange. And looking at and listening to the episode, it's kind of wild how far we've come. We used to be horrible at transitions from one another. We used to stutter a ton. Like we didn't even have an intro. Our intro was like some music thing or whatever. I don't even know. Yeah, we have come quite a long way. Carter, do you have anything to say about, what you remember from the first episode that we ever made?
Yeah, so kind of what I remember from the first episode was a Chili's for the main part. I think that was a great kind of moment there. Probably one of our good ones for sure. One that happened again later on in the year. So that always is that's always a nice callback to it. And anytime you mess up a word, it always just kind of reminds me of that. So that's pretty fun as well. But no, I mean, it was really weird, kind of the first episode. We didn't really know each other and everything like that. Like I'd never spoken to Jack before. I'd only texted you over Snapchat or TikTok DMs or Instagram DMs and stuff like that. I didn't know really much about you outside of the TikTok space. So from that, it's been a heck of a journey. 3 years feels just insane to me that it's been 3 years. Like I was a senior in high school, and now I'm graduated with a diploma from college. I'm working a full-time job now. Like it's crazy to me how much things changed in 3 years. You were a sophomore, right? Now you've graduated and you're about to be a college freshman.
Yeah, in a week. It's kind of wild.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's unreal. I mean, I remember like when we started in August, it was kind of just something that like I put together for fun. And I really didn't think it'd become this, to be honest with you. Like I honestly thought the three of us, like it would kind of fall off after a while. And there were points where like we hit a low point and, like just we got busy in our lives, but we still kept at it. We still kept uploading episodes. At least every other week or every week at that. It's been a ton of fun. I've really enjoyed the last 3 years. I'm looking forward to this 4th year. I'm glad because I'm going to have a lot more time on my hands to really put more effort into this now with college. I know like I will have time, but I won't have time at the same time, if you get what that means. I'm sure Carter knows what that means 100%. But I think that we're only going to get better, and we have only gotten better, and I'm very excited for what the future is to bring. It's funny because I remember from when Jack was there, like he was outside. That's what I remember from that episode, along with the whole Achilles thing. So definitely going to be fun to see where we go from here. But yeah, we just kind of wanted to leave that little bit of a tidbit. Nothing too crazy there. We don't want to get all emotional and stuff like we did for our 100th episode. But yeah, I guess we'll just move on to what we want to talk about here, unless Carter has any more thoughts for us. Let's hop into the Atlantic Division offseason review. We've done the last 3 divisions. Now we are on to the Atlantic Division. Let's start off now with the Boston Bruins, who made a couple of trades since this time or during this offseason. One of them, and the most notable one, was acquiring Victor Arvidsson from the Edmonton Oilers in exchange for a 2027 fifth-round pick. This is an interesting deal. Arvidsson's on the last year of a $4 million contract. It's not too bad of a deal, but to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to be – Arvidsson's not going to have that big of an impact, just being blunt. But what do you think about this move, Carter?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a weird one. I don't think he's, again, as you said, he's not going to have a huge effect, especially on, kind of this team. I mean, they only gave up a fifth-round pick for him, so it's not really like the end of the world if he doesn't, perform very well. They need guys anyways to just fill their roster. They already have like a pretty prospect pool. But they did do some good things during the trade deadline, acquiring Fraser Minton. I think that was a great move that they did as well. They have a lot of young D-core in their AHL team. On top of that, they drafted Higgins this year. They got Letourneau last year as well. So they have a lot of good players. I'm not too worried about them in their future. I think they attacked the offseason very well. But with the Arvidsson move, yeah, it was kind of a head scratcher, but then you look at it's a fifth round pick. How many times do fifth round picks hit? Not a lot. So you got an actual NHLer for a fifth round pick, but I don't think they're competing. However, it's Boston, so we don't know.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I'm not very high on the trade. The signings they made, I'm not very high on them either. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. They signed Tanner Jeannot to a $3.4 million cap hit for 5 years. Oh, my God. They also signed Sean Corrali to a 2-year, $1.85 million deal, which I don't really hate that either. I think that's fine. But the Jeannot one is just one that I'm like, oh, my God. And I just can't. I can't fathom it. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on the Jeannot deal and the Corrali deal? They also signed Mikey Eyssimont as well, but the rest of the guys were just kind of minor moves.
Jets legend Mikey Eyssimont.
Oh, yeah.
I was absolutely distraught when the Lightning picked him up on waivers like a few years ago. That actually ruined my day. However, to the two I guess somewhat important guys, Jeannot, I think any other team, I'd like this move, especially a team that's competing. I think that Jeannot at 3.5 would not be, the worst player to pick up on your team. So I think that the contract for him is great. The fit is I think he'd be perfect for a playoff team. The only good thing is he's remotely cheap. He's not that expensive to kind of go out and get. So you never know. He could be a trade deadline piece at some point in the next 3 years, maybe even this year. Who knows, right? It's rare that players with term get traded, but you never know. So I think Jeannot would be a good fit on a playoff team, and I don't mind the money. It's more so just the fit of Boston going out to get him. But hey, he got a bag, so respect to him. Corrali is another weird one. I mean, he's a good kind of third line guy. I mean, you kind of just got to fill roster spots, right? So obviously I'm not expecting them to go out and get a top player or anything like that. But I mean, Sean Corrali, for the value that you're getting him at, I don't think is too bad. He's still a pretty, decent player. Kind of plays a little bit of, both ends of the ice a little bit. Not always the greatest, but I think he's still pretty solid as well. So would not be too mad about the Corrali deal. I think that his is good, but I do like the Jeannot deal just based off of kind of the value and what he can bring to certain teams. He definitely plays that Boston Bruins style of hockey.
He does play that Boston Bruins kind of mentality. So definitely, I just don't like the money. I think the money's a little bit too much, and just the overall offense and defensive problems I think are a big thing. But I guess I see the way you look at it. I don't think Boston's going to be a good team this year. I'm just going to be completely blunt with you, which is why, they made moves that made them worse. Maybe that's what they wanted to do. But to be honest, I'm not a big fan. I'm going to give them a D. I'm not a huge hater on their moves like LA, but I'm not really that big of a fan. I know you may look at it differently because you're always the positive. You're always the positive guy.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of positive sometimes. I'm just more so positive on the Jeannot deal because it does seem like a lot, but when you look at guys who play certain styles of hockey, like you
Yeah.
kind of see it as like his value in the regular season isn't that good. He hasn't really performed in the playoffs because he's kind of been buried in. I don't want to say buried in like wherever he's been. I don't even was he was a Tampa guy and then he was like LA last year. Like I don't know. He's been really confusing. He had like a really good year in 21-22 and then just like completely fell off the face of the earth. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the risk to reward ratio is kind of there, but I also don't see. I don't know. It's a weird one. I'm gonna give him a C minus.
Okay.
Just because I think the potential with Jeannot is there, especially to a playoff team. It could work if they get him in the right fit in the right system. Maybe we see something. Maybe we see some flashes, but I wouldn't fully bet my life on it.
Yeah. I don't know. All right, let's move on then to the Buffalo Sabres, who made a couple of moves. Honestly, didn't make a lot of moves, but the moves that they made, I do have some thoughts. They traded Jason Peterka, JJ Peterka, to the Utah Mammoth in exchange for Josh Doan and Michael Kesselring. I still can't process this deal. This deal is so confusing to me for Buffalo. I get what they're trying to do, but at the same time, they gave up way too much to get these two players. Like, it's just actually insane how this is shaped itself. They also trade away Sam Lafferty for a 6, not that big of a move. They did acquire Isaac Beliveau and Connor Timmins. Beliveau, not a bad prospect, from the Penguins in exchange for Clifton and a second. That's okay of a deal, honestly. But I'm really focused on the Peterka trade. And I know we've talked about it a couple of times, but from the Buffalo perspective, what are your thoughts? Because you cannot be happy about this.
No, from a Buffalo perspective, I'd be pretty upset. JJ Peterka is someone who has a lot of value, and you kind of gave him away for, I don't want to say scraps, but you kind of gave him away for scraps. Kesselring, I have heard that Buffalo's wanted him for a while. I think that apparently if JJ Peterka was going to Utah, Kesselring had to be involved. I think that was something that was talked about for sure. I thought I heard it on a podcast somewhere. I could just be talking out of my ass again, like always. Doan isn't a bad one. I don't mind Josh Doan. He had a decent year last year, 19 points through 51 games. So not horrible for a 22-year-old who is probably kind of buried on that young team already. So we'll see what he's kind of got if he ends up cracking this Buffalo Sabres roster, which if he doesn't would be not a little bit of like a concern or like a big concern or anything like that, but something to definitely look out for. Yeah, I don't know. That move just seemed super questionable for Buffalo. It was a heck of a deal for Utah. I absolutely love that trade for them. But as far as, Buffalo's concerned, I mean, I don't know why Kesselring had to be a piece involved in this. Like, you have so many good young D-men. Like, Dahlin's 25, making $11 million. Samuelson's 25, making $4.25. Like, that's unbelievable of a contract. Powers he's 22 years old, he's making 8.3. You just signed Bowen Byram, who's 24, to a $6.25 million deal. And on top of that, you have Timmins, who's making 2.2. Like, just fill it with like a mediocre player for cheap and get someone better. Like, I don't know if Utah was just like, no, like, we're not doing anything with him, but I don't like this move from a Buffalo perspective at all.
Yeah, I don't like this at all. I see the vision with them trying to get Doan and Kesselring. They want guys who can be like third pairing defensemen, and Kesselring is that guy. I think he's better than like Connor Timmins or whoever the hell they had. Mm-hmm. But I'm just sitting here to myself, and I'm like, you gave up way too much, for this to be the fucking return.
Yeah, like, they want like third line guys and like second pairing D-men, and yet they gave up a potential like star winger.
They gave up a top 6 player for for like bottom 6 players. That's basically what they did.
Top
it's
6,
actually like
top 3 on this
literally team. I still don't understand it at all to this day. Yeah. So I don't know. The signings they made, they really didn't do anything. A lot of the guys that they signed, if any at all, were pretty much just already with the team. Devin Levi, they signed. Connor Timmins, they signed. They re-signed Mirka. They re-signed Bowen Byram. I actually thought he was going to get traded, but they re-signed him to a bridge deal, 2 years, 6.25. So very good contract there for Byram. I like that. Apart from that, though, they didn't do much of anything. Just quick thoughts on the Byram contract, if you have anything to throw in.
I think it's good value for Bowen Byram. I like that. I like that contract. Get this guy out of Buffalo, man. He's too good to be stuck in Buffalo. I love Bowen Byram. I've been trying to, recruit him to Philly for as long as I can, kind of remember. I was really hoping Bowen Byram was going to be in the deal when we sent Walker to Colorado. I was really hoping Bowen Byram was going to come home. That would have been unbelievable. But shout out Bo Taylor. I like the Bowen Byram contract, so we can move on from Bo.
All right. Honestly, Buffalo, I wasn't a fan of their moves. I think, the guys they got were the right guys to get, but they gave up so much for them, which is why I'm going to correspond that with a D+.
Yeah, I like how you kind of said that. They got the right guys, but they gave up the wrong player, for sure.
Yeah. What I also want to preface this, too. They could have gotten Marco Rossi for this guy. They could have gotten 2 first-round picks. That's what we saw in the rumored returns.
And the stupid thing is they're like, oh, but we don't want to rebuild right now. I don't know. We don't want to rebuild. But JJ Peterka was already good. You trade him for a D-man and a prospect. He's not a prospect, but a 23-year-old who has how many games of NHL experience? 62 games of NHL experience for JJ Peterka. Really? That's a no from me. You traded a guy with 238 games played and 150 points for a guy with 62 and 28. Sure. I'll believe you aren't rebuilding.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Whatever. I'm going to give him a D.
All right. Anyways, moving on to the Detroit Red Wings. The Red Wings made a couple of moves that are definitely worth talking about. Let's talk about the John Gibson trade first. They acquired Gibson from the Anaheim Ducks in exchange for Mrazek, a second and a fourth. I want to know your thoughts on this because, again, you were very high on John Gibson. You've been talking about Gibson for years, going to the Oilers or some other team. He finally gets moved to the Red Wings, and I know we talked about it prior, but just kind of reiterate your thoughts again.
Yeah, I've been talking about Gibson going places since the start of this podcast, I swear. We talk about this being the 3-year episode, and I think we've talked about Gibson for 3 years. I think I said he was going to go to Toronto, and then I said he was going to go to Edmonton for the last 2 years, and he ends up in Detroit. Quite literally, probably the last possible spot I would have seen him outside of teams that have an established number one goalie. But I mean, looking at their roster now, I don't mind them going out for Gibson. They still have so much room. Cap space, it's actually nuts. I think they have $12 million in cap space. It's pretty surreal for them. Anytime you can get a guy like Patrick Kane on a $3 million deal, I think that's really good. Dylan Larkin's a heck of a contract too. So is Raymond. Sorry, I know you asked me about Gibson. I just kind of went on a tangent there. That makes no sense. But let me go back to Gibson quick, and then you can say your piece, and then I can go back to whatever I was going to ramble on about for no reason. I like Gibson. I thought it was weird that he ended up in Detroit, but looking at their roster now, I think this team kind of has a good chance to maybe compete, maybe fight for a wild card spot. So I think John Gibson would be a great piece as long as he can kind of return to number one goalie form.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm a big fan of this Gibson move. I really think that just honestly, this solves a lot of their problems. Their blue line still has some concerns with me, but if Gibson can be even like half of what Gibson was in Anaheim for those years they were good, this team might make the playoffs, honestly.
I agree.
One of their biggest problems the last couple of seasons was their goaltending. I know their defense was a problem too, but you look at their goaltending the last 2 seasons, they had like Husso, Lyon, Nedeljkovic. They had so many guys that just like kind of went through that. Talbot as well, that just weren't number one guys. Gibson is a number one guy, but only temporary because you have Augustine and Kosa coming up. I think Gibson is a temporary solution to a more permanent problem, and that's not a bad thing. You want to give Kosa and Augustine another year or two to keep going. I honestly think Kosa is going to be the backup next season. I honestly believe it. But
I agree.
Anyway, I think this is a temporary solution to a more permanent problem, and I would usually say that's bad. But in the Red Wings case, I think it's good, honestly.
I agree. So I like how you kind of said that about, the permanent or a temporary solution for a permanent problem. I don't think that this is going to be a permanent problem. So he's got 2 years left on his deal.
I mean, a more long-term problem.
Yeah.
Not permanent.
Yeah. So Talbot has 1 year left on his deal. I think Talbot walks at the end of this year. I don't think Detroit brings him back. And then you look at your goaltenders, you're like, okay, which one do we think has the best chance to learn from John Gibson for a year? We have him. We might as well use him to mentor. And you kind of said Kosa. I think Kosa is probably their best goalie right now, especially in their minor leagues. So I'd bring up Kosa, have Kosa learn behind Gibson, and I think that you help establish Kosa as a better goalie. Now you might bring Gibson back for another year, see what you can do. Maybe you carry 3 goalies for a year and just have, Kosa learning from him, have Augustine learn from him. It kind of sucks, but you're going to help solve your goaltending problem a lot better. So I think that Gibson's going to be a great fit here. I especially like that he has 2 years left on his deal. They're going to get him for a little bit longer. And yeah, I like this deal. I do expect Detroit to kind of contend for like a wild card spot at least.
Yeah, for sure. Let's look at the signings though. They signed James Van Riemsdyk. They re-signed Patrick Kane. That's about it. They did sign Mason Appleton as well. They drafted Carter Bear. I know you're a big fan of Carter Bear. So yeah, the signings, nothing too big there. If you do want to share your thoughts on JVR and them, it's not going to be anything too serious. JVR might play like top 6 minutes though. Just like
from the projections, it looks like he will, which is kind of crazy to me, but that's neither here nor there. I like the move. $1 million for a year, pretty good, especially if he ends up being a pretty decent like top left wing. Maybe you move him down to third line. Even no matter where you stick him on this lineup, you're going to get good value out of JVR anyways. Mason Appleton, I kind of thought was a great deal too. I'm going to miss him playing in Jets blue. That kind of stings for me, but again, I don't mind it. And then they got Bernard Docker as well, which
JBD. That's right in front of me, and I didn't even notice. Yeah,
JBD, not a bad contract either.
Yeah,
literally $875,000. Not bad.
Yeah, so I think the Red Wings had a good offseason. I'm going to give it an A, honestly. Like I think like they still have problems, and I think there's a lot of people who hate on the moves that they made. But I got to be blunt. Like I think that like with getting Gibson, it definitely makes this team a lot better. So I'm going to give it an A.
I agree. I like the Gibson move. I like that they got one of my favorite players in the draft as well. On top of that, they have a great third line as well, too. I think all 3 of their lines outside of maybe JVR, I hate to throw shade like that, but whatever. All 3, their top 9 is really good. Even their bottom line is like their fourth line's good. On top of that, too, like their decor is not bad either. Like Detroit has a sneaky good team this year. I kind of like them.
Yeah, I think they could be a playoff team. All right, moving on then to the Stanley Cup champions, the Florida Panthers. They really didn't do a lot. Yeah, they didn't really do a lot. Just like I'm trying to think of what to say. Like
it's just re-signings was it.
They won the cup. Like you really want them to do a lot? They re-signed. I just want to go over the re-signings. They re-signed Brad Marchand, Aaron Ekblad, and Sam Bennett. 2 contracts, all 8 years. Marchand 6, but Bennett and Ekblad are 8 years, which I think is just great. They also signed Jack Stanika, Brandon Bussey, Nolan Foote, Jeff Petrie. They signed a couple of guys just to like be depth pieces, and it's worked out. It's worked out a lot for them. So I definitely think that that's going to be a big benefit for sure. I don't know, like if Petrie's going to be a big key player. He could be like a 7th or even 8th defenseman. But hey, they've turned players' careers around plenty of times. Like Nate Schmidt, Winnipeg Jet, got a good contract. So I like the signings they made. The fact that they kept those guys around for that money is just, it's wild. So what are your thoughts?
Well, this is a Stanley Cup winning team through and through and through. Like this team, if they stay together, they will compete for the next 10 years. I don't care what anyone has to say. They're unreal.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. Like this team is so stacked everywhere. There's not a single spot on this roster that's weak. The thing that sucks the most about this team, not like player-wise or anything like that, the thing that sucks most is like a fan. Sergei Bobrovsky's contract ends next year. If you don't think he's taking like a $4 or $5 million salary and coming back for another year, and the salary cap's going to go up right as Connor McDavid's contract's going to be up.
I don't know.
I'm totally kidding about that, but you never know. If he loses to Florida again, I think we might see a Kevin Durant type situation here.
Oh, oh my God! You're right, which is the crazy part. So, yeah,
I know.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, I like Florida's offseason. They didn't do anything crazy. The only trade that they made was trading Justin Sordiff to Washington for 2 seconds. Thought that was a good deal, making good asset management out of an AHL player. Not too bad. So, yeah, I would give it an A. Same as Detroit. I think they won the cup. Like,
yeah,
they're already having a great offseason regardless. So,
yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like, they signed Bennett to $8 million. They signed Ekblad to 6.1.
Exactly.
Like, are you kidding me? Not only that, they re-signed Marchand. Like, that contract is, like, ridiculous. He's going to be 43 by the time that contract's up, which is nuts. Can't believe that. But what does it matter? I hate this team so much.
Yeah, definitely. Let's move on then to the Montreal Canadiens. We're at the halfway mark already. So Montreal made a lot of moves. They made primarily trades, though. They acquired Noah Dobson from the New York Islanders in exchange for Emil Heineman and 2 first-round picks. They also acquired Zach Bolduc for Logan Mailloux. Kind of rhymed, ironically enough. I thought that was a really good trade. That's really good value. Bolduc scored like 25 goals with St. Louis this past season. 20 goals. But anyways, like he had a very good rookie year and he's prone to break out. So that's a very good trade for Montreal. The Dobson one I had thoughts on. I feel like the contract they signed him to is fine. It's a little too much money for my liking, but who cares? Like, it doesn't really matter. They gave up 2 firsts for him. It's kind of wild, but when you're a team that's trying to make the playoffs, whatever. Doesn't really matter, honestly. Mm-hmm. I'll let you say your thoughts. They didn't do much signings. They signed Joe Veleno. That's it. So if you want to talk a little bit on that.
Yeah. The Noah Dobson deal, I kind of like for them. I don't think it was like the greatest trade we've ever seen before, but I don't think it was like bad by any means. I think that the players that were there, you couldn't have expected to be there. So going back, maybe Montreal looks at it a little bit differently, getting a guy like Aitchison and Eklund as well. But I still think Noah Dobson, he's proven. I think he's earned that $9.5 million. He's definitely a very good offensive player. And having Lane Hudson learn from a guy like Noah Dobson, I think could be really good for him. So I think that really helps their right side for sure, having Dobson, Hudson, and Carrier. So I like it. I think the money's pretty good too. It's just going to come down to if he's going to be able to put up those points on a little bit better of a team than the New York Islanders. As far as their forward core, I can't say I'm like super stoked about it. Like, I think the contracts they have on their top line for sure is very nice. I love it. But as far as like, what's the word I'm looking for? As far as like the entire forward core in itself, I don't know how this team was fighting for a playoff spot last year.
What, Montreal?
Yeah, it's really weird because I don't like. There's not a lot of guys that stick out to me. Like, you take away Demidov, who came late last year. Like, it's Caulfield, Suzuki, Slavkovsky. Now it's like that's really almost it. Like, Doc's kind of hot and cold. I don't know. Like, this team just shocked me last year, and I didn't see it coming. And I guess that's what happens when you have Lane Hudson kind of break out. But we're going to have to see what happens with them this year. I'm expecting a little bit of a regression just because this forward core is like weird to me. But again, I wouldn't be shocked if they were fighting for a playoff spot again.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked either. I think the moves they made were good. Like, I think they're going to be a playoff team. I think they might be better than last year, honestly. Unless if Lane Hudson takes a massive nosedive and just
like a sophomore slump for sure.
Yes, a sophomore slump. I think this team is a playoff team. I think they need to get better defensively, though. Like, I think defensively they just weren't good last year. Like, you look at the advanced analytics, it's the truth. Like, it's literally true. Like, you can't deny it. Lane Hudson was not good defensively last year. It's the truth. He wasn't as bad as everybody said he was, but he could be a lot better. I think that comes with like veteran presence in the NHL, or like as the years go on. Experience is the right word. I'm saying all these different words to say it, but yeah, I think experience is a big thing with Hudson. I do think this team is a playoff team, though. I like the moves they made. I'm going to give it an A as well. That's 3 straight A's from me. I just think I think a lot of these Atlantic teams did the best, in my opinion. So I'm going to give it an A there for Montreal.
I'm going to go B+.
All right.
And like, I love the Dobson trade. I think the Dobson trade's an A for sure for them. I really love that trade. But it's just, I feel like there's something missing. And I can't exactly put my finger on it, but it just feels like something's missing on this team. But if Demidov takes us...
I feel like it's depth.
Yeah.
Kind of.
That's like the only thing that I can really see that like they kind of need. They need a 2C, I think, a little bit more reliable one than Doc, which is bold coming from the Jets fan who has never had a 2C. But yeah, I think that's really my only thing is it's just they just need a little bit more depth.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm intrigued to see how that's going to go. I think that will come in time as the prospects keep developing and stuff, but I guess we shall see. All right, moving on now to the Ottawa Senators. The Senators didn't make a lot of moves either. They did make a trade that I do want to talk about. It involves Jordan Spence, who we talked about. He is coming from LA for a 3rd and a 6th. That's pretty good value. A 3rd and a 6th for Jordan Spence, who is way better than Travis Hamonic, first and foremost, and will play on your 2nd or 3rd pairing. Getting him for a 3rd and a 6th, that's pretty good money. And he's young, too. He's 24. So that's a very good trade there for Ottawa. The signings they made, Lars Eller, I like that one. 1 year, 1.25. They signed Ole Lykesell. He'll be an AHLer, but I just want to mention him. Nick Cousins, Levi Merolainen, Claude Giroux they re-signed. Zetterlund they re-signed. They got all their guys locked up, essentially. They also brought in Hunter Shepard, who was a 2-time Calder Cup champion. Arthur Kaliev as well. I like the moves they made, too. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't mind their moves at all. I think Jordan Spence is a good player, especially kind of at the value that they got him at. Do really like it there. The signing of Fabian Zetter, did they sign? Yeah, they re-signed him, right? Because they traded for him? Or am I stupid?
They traded for Zetterlund at the trade deadline.
Right, yes. Okay, so I'm not being completely dumb. Yeah, they traded for him at the trade deadline, re-signed him, so I do like that. I think he was a pretty solid fit there last year. Re-signed Giroux to a 1-year deal, so I don't mind that either. Yeah, I don't know. I got no kind of bad things to say about it. I like the moves they made.
No complaints.
I
Yeah,
got nothing.
I think
I think
Ottawa
they
had a
kind of
good
just
move.
had a solid offseason, I guess.
Yeah, I give it a B plus. I don't think it's like as good as Montreal or Florida or anything like that, but it's still pretty good. So I'll give it a B plus.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them a B just because I kind of gave Montreal a B plus, and I think Montreal did a little bit better.
Valid. All right, now we're actually getting through this pretty fast. The Atlantic teams didn't do a lot, but they made some good moves.
Yeah.
I guess because it's all the bad moves, we have to talk about them in depth. But for the good moves, it's just like, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of knows it's like, oh yeah, no, that was a good trade. Oh, that was also good.
Move. Good signing. Yeah, solid. All right, moving on then to the Tampa Bay Lightning. They didn't make a ton of moves either. They did trade away Isaac Howard to the Oilers in exchange for Sam O'Reilly. It's kind of a Rucker McGroarty situation. Howard just wasn't happy with how Tampa Bay was handling him, and as a result, he just wanted to get out of there. He's going to the Oilers. Sam O'Reilly will be decent, not too bad. And then they really didn't make a lot of signings. I do want to give credit, and where credit is due. They re-signed Gage Gonzalez to a 2-year 1.2. They signed Pontus Holmberg to a 2-year 1.5. But I really like the move, and this is one that's kind of under the radar. It's not going to be a huge impact move. Maybe it is. Who the hell knows? Jacob Pelletier, 3 years, $775K. That is just a good value contract by the Tampa Bay Lightning. That is somebody who, on the Flyers, I'm going to be blunt, I don't think he got a fair share of what he could have gotten. Tortorella put him on the fourth line a lot, just wasn't really fitting in. I like this. It's a 3-year league minimum deal for a guy who had a decent year last year and is young and has time to produce. I think it's a good value signing by Tampa Bay. So I like it a lot there. I like the signings they made, but they didn't do anything too serious. What is your piece of thoughts on the Lightning?
Kind of, I'm going to start with all their signings, I guess, first, and then I'll go into the Isaac Howard kind of move. Pelletier, I love that contract for him. As you said, he didn't really get a fair shot on the Flyers, which I do totally agree with. I thought he wasn't really given much of a chance as far as to showcase his skills and his talents, because I think he's a very solid player, and I think if he ends up fitting somewhere in this lineup, Tampa's got a lot of salary that they're going to be able to work with here, having him there as well. So I do really like that. The re-signing of Yanni Gourde, that happened last year, or was that this year? I can never remember, man.
Yanni Gourde, that was in June. So I guess that does count. 6 years, okay. 2.3.
Yeah, so I love that contract too. I don't think he's eye-opening, whoa, what a signing, right? But I think for the value that you're going to get Yanni Gourde at, I don't mind that at all. So I think that was really good as well. The Gonclaves re-signing, it was all right, I guess. He's kind of bounced around between the AHL and the NHL, so not anything too spectacular there. Hedman re-signing, $8 million. Expected, right? Not anything too eye-opening. Or I guess that was last year. Why did I think it was this year?
I don't know, dude.
Whatever. It's late. Whatever. Okay, now I guess on Isaac Howard, I hate how bad people have been this whole college USA kid thing. It's really driving me insane. As someone who has suffered from it twice, I think I speak for everyone when I say this sucks.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does.
It sucks for Tampa because I think Isaac Howard would have been a great piece for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think he would have been unbelievable on a line with Hagel and Cirelli. I think he would have fit in nicely. I think it really sucks for Tampa that they kind of screwed it up that badly. Or maybe Howard screwed it up. I don't know. I don't know who to trust anymore as far as when it comes to these college kids. So, yeah, that's kind of my piece on it. I think that what they got for him is solid. I mean, it was either that or probably nothing, right? Because he would have been a free agent at the end of next year, and you would have been able to kind of deal him. So I'm a big fan of that. I think that he's going to do very well in Edmonton, but when your hands are tied, if you're the Tampa Bay Lightning, got to just let him go.
Yeah, he didn't really have a choice, to be honest with you. I think they made the best of the situations they could. I'm going to give him a C+, though, because they didn't do a lot. I like the moves that they made, but they aren't huge impact moves. They really didn't do like much of anything, to be honest with you, besides trade Isaac Howard, in the grand scheme of things. So
I agree.
Definitely want to factor that in.
I agree.
All right, last but not least, I can't believe we're already here, to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's start off with the trades. This is the biggest team of them all. Let's just put that out there. They acquired Mitch Marner from the Vegas Golden Knights in exchange, or they traded Mitch Marner.
I was going to say, did we miss something here?
Yes, we missed something.
A sign and trade?
They traded Marner. I traded trade. They traded Marner to the Golden Knights in exchange for Nicholas Waugh. They also acquired Dakota Joshua from the Canucks in exchange for a fourth. They acquired Matthias Michelli for a third-round pick. Just start off with the trades. Marner leaving is just crazy to me. I still kind of can't believe it, but it's understandable that it happened. I like the moves that they made. I think Michelli's going to do good in Toronto. I think he kind of got a bad rap in Utah. This past year, he was playing fourth line minutes, and I just we see him get Paterka, and I'm just oh, that's it. He's gone, isn't he? So yeah, Michelli was gone. It sucks, but it does happen, unfortunately, with the Utah thing. But I like it for Toronto. He can be a good player. Joshua put up decent numbers for being a guy that had literal cancer this past year. He had 14 points in 57 games played. If I had cancer and then I had to go play NHL games, I don't know if I put up 10 points. 1 point. I don't know if I put up 8
I don't think you put up anything.
Yeah, I put up nothing, even if I didn't have cancer. That's just gonna be honest. But yeah, I think he can be a good fourth liner. So I like those moves from that perspective. Signings, they really didn't do anything. Not a lot of notable signings besides Nyes and Tavares. I will say that. In terms of bringing new guys in through signing, not really. But the Nyes and Tavares contracts are pretty decent. So I want to know your thoughts on that. What do you think about the Nyes and Tavares deal? Just everything about Toronto's offseason.
All right. Well, we'll talk about the signings here. The Matthew Nyes deal, I love. I'm a big fan of Matthew Nyes. He's I'm not allowed to have favorite Leaf players, but if I was to watch a player on the Leafs, it'd be Matthew Nyes. I'm a big fan of him. The Tavares deal, absolute steal. This guy still puts up how many points do you have this year? 74? He was almost a point per game player this year, and you got him for $4 million. What? Unbelievable. I love that. I love that signing. Was the Jake McCabe signing this year? I need to know.
No, it was not. It was the beginning of last year.
I'm so stupid. Anyways, but yeah, with those being their only two signings, I don't mind it at all. I love both of those deals. As far as their trade, Nicholas Waugh, I like. He adds depth. You're going to get nothing for Mitch Marner anyways. So it's nice that you got a good third-line piece that can maybe slide around your roster. Let's say Maselli's not performing as well. Boom, you stick him on the right wing side. Or you keep him down the middle. It's totally up to you. It's your world. We're just living in it. But yeah, no, I like this team. I think they have a good forward core. They have depth now, which is something that they were always lacking. They have players that are going to hit in the playoffs. Now, their biggest question is going to be playoff performing, because right now it's literally just William Nylander who does it. Their D-core, so good. I love their D-core. McCabe's unreal. Tanev always seems to perform. Morgan Riley, Brandon Carlo, that's a good pairing. And Ekman Larson looked pretty solid last year in Toronto. On top of that, they still have some good players in their press box, right, who are kind of just healthy scratch. They still have Nicholas Robertson, Camp as well. Again, their biggest question just comes down to goaltending every year, right? I feel like that's one of the big questions with Toronto outside of playoff performance. It just comes down to their goaltending, right? Stolarz looked good last year. What was he last year? He was a 214 with a 926 save percentage with 34 games. Not a lot of games, but it's still good. Like, he was still solid. So I think that they kind of have their goalie going forward. It's just going to come down to playoff performing, and they have to get out of the second round this year.
Yeah. It's the big thing, the playoff performing. I wouldn't be shocked if they take a really big, like, just drop in terms of, like, points this year.
I think they will in the regular season for sure.
They won't miss the playoffs, but I think they will take a drop.
This
like,
team's
you
too good to
missed that
fall out the
offensive
wild card
mark.
race.
I don't know about wild card. I have them, I think, third in the division.
No. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying this team is too good to fall out of a wild card race.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think, like, I have them, like, third. I'm going to be blunt with you.
I think third is like
third, I think, is where I have them.
I could see them like tied for third or whatever with like some team that maybe surprises us. I don't know.
Ottawa,
and then they end up getting like the first wild card, but I don't see them finishing. I don't think they'd finish less than third in their division.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Yeah, Toronto, I think, like, they did the best of what they could. I'm going to give them a B-. You lose Marner, like, for that price. I get it, but B- for me. I still like the moves they made, though.
Yeah, I'll give them a B. I think it's solid. Not anything special, but, I think it's good for what they had.
Yeah. All right. Well, that does it for this episode of the NordCast. That's the 3-year anniversary episode. Wow. We got that done pretty fast. That's actually I'm like, did we miss any teams? Like, I'm shocked how fast we got that done.
I honestly thought we skipped a team.
Yeah. I'm trying to look and see, like, if we actually did. Because I don't think I didn't look through. But no, I don't think we did. I think we covered all 8 teams. So, yeah, that'll do it for this episode of the NordCast. Carter, any final thoughts for us?
Football's back in a few weeks. Hockey's back in a month. Baseball playoffs are almost here. Golf playoffs are here. Ryder Cup starting. I'm stoked for that. And then NordCast top 10 lists. Consensus rankings of players will be coming hopefully next week. We're going to start with, I don't know, we'll figure something out. But yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll conclude this episode of the NordCast. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening to yet again another episode of the NordCast. If you enjoyed, please subscribe down below or follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you want to follow us on TikTok, we are at NordCast. If you want to follow us on Instagram or Twitter, follow at NordCast_. That'll do it for this episode. I'm Nordic. Thanks for listening from all the crew, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.